Once again, violence has struck our nation. Once again, a lone gunman has devastated people's lives. This time it happened in a church less than an hour away. At times like this, many people ask questions. Why did it happen? What could someone have done to prevent it? I have heard people asking a more personal question. This tragedy occurred in a church during worship, during a time and a place where we want to feel like we are safe and secure. This most recent tragedy has made many of us recognize that we are vulnerable. If we aren't safe at a church during worship, are we safe anywhere? How should we as people of faith respond? I have 3 suggestions. First, recognize whatever it is that you are feeling and lift it before God. The Bible is filled with people lifting their deepest fears before God. Psalm 22, my God, why have you forsaken me? Psalm 69, I sink in the mire, the floods overwhelm me. I am weary from my tears. Don't be timid about lifting your deepest emotions and feelings before God. I believe that God cried the first tear. God is big enough to hold yours. Second, trust that God is with us and at work amid the tragedy. One of the messages of the cross is that God takes the worst that we human beings can do to one another, molds it and shapes it and brings forth new life, resurrection. Trust in the message of the cross that God is at work amid the tragedy, bringing forth healing and comfort, new life. Finally, let this tragedy remind you that life is short and that we need to live into the life that God has offered us. Turn off the TV and spend time with those you love. Gather around the table with family and friends. Tell stories and laugh. Recognize what brings you joy in life, then do it. Go outside, stare at the stars. Don't respond to hate with hate. Reach out in love and compassion to another human being. Let this tragedy remind you of how to live. On Sunday morning, we are going to gather in this space. We are going to gather with one another, recognizing that we are not alone in this thing called life. We are going to gather in the presence of God, lifting our voices in song and our hearts in prayer. We are going to remember how God and our faith call us to live. This most recent tragedy reminds me that there is evil in this world and that life is short. My faith reminds me to trust that God is with us. My faith reminds me to trust not only that God is with us, but to live as the person God has created me to be. My faith reminds me to join with God and with one another in working to heal the hurt and brokenness of this world. My faith reminds me to trust that God is with us and live.